State governments, particularly if it's not concurrently like we have now, can make laws, but they can't make laws that is inconsistent
with what is done at the federal level.
Yes, and even when they make laws, to the extent that the federal government already does that, is largely almost inoperative, right? So the challenge here is, well, we have federal government already made laws, and then state governments are making laws. Then there's a balance of, how do we do this? We may likely face the risk of overregulation. You have a project developer having to comply with regulatory obligations at the federal level and having to still do that at the state level. So these are the things that we need to, really sit down and look at so that it doesn't dissuade investors.
All right, Lagos, if you're just joining the conversation, I've been speaking to Chinenye Ajayi, who is Power and Infrastructure Lead at Olaniwun Ajayi LP. And this is Power Solutions. Power Solutions is powered by Olon, Energy Impact Investment Company, in partnership with the Nigerian Info, your number one talk station. And we've been discussing this amendment by the president to allow states to generate and transmit and distribute power, electricity in areas covered by the grid. What does this mean? How does it change the issue of power within the states? That's what we're discussing now. And you can join the conversation by calling me on 0700 993 993 993. All right, so Chinenye, now the next question I want to ask is, before I have a lot to about, did we really need this amendment in the first place?
Well, I would say this is my personal view, really, because I feel we had the real thing that the common man is interested in. I want to have power in my home.
Exactly.
That's what he needed. And we didn't need this law per se to get that done. Because like I said earlier, state government could actually generate, subject to complying with necessary regulations, generate electricity, distribute electricity within their local areas, right? Off grid, right? So they could actually do this, which is what the common man actually needs. So I would say it's good. Because
we have the caller. We had a caller, but he's gone. Please call back in case you were calling before. I see you guys are calling already. So please call back. Go on, Chinenye.
So we could actually have power get to the people without this law. But again, it's an additional opportunity for states to take advantage and to make this happen.
We have a caller, so let's just quickly take this call and hear what Lagos has to say.
Okay.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Power Solutions. Please call back. Please call back. Okay, go on, please, with your thought.
Yeah, so I said, so we essentially, Lagos could actually, or not Lagos, state governments, right, could actually do this without this law. With that, it's actually getting power to the people. So the law is an additional advantage for them to attract investors, put in things that could incentivize, investors to get in and do this project and get the power to the people. But I still feel that without this, we could still have achieved.
Could have achieved it.
That objective.
All right. So now you talked about conflict initially and potential conflict you see. I mean, I see one, and many people within the sector also see one. Now, you know that some of the discos sort of provide power across many states. I mean, except Lagos, where we have the Ikeja disco and Eco disco in Lagos. But in some states, one disco provides across states. How will this sort of amendment, when states begin to make their different legislation, how would it affect the operations of these discos?
So again, for this to work, this is a one step amongst many other things that need to be done to actually get this up and running. There will be a need for a lot of collaboration and synergy among states.
Let me hold your thought on that.
Okay.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Power Solutions. Talk to me.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Tunde. I'm calling from Ugijo.
Yeah, Tunde. Go on.
Yes. Sincerely, I'm happy with the bill, the passing of the bill, so to say.
Okay.
It is long overdue.
Okay.
But the area I'm looking at is the hinterland, the rural areas. According to the way, my knowledge, to the best of my knowledge, if there is no power, no nation or country or community or state can really, develop. So the hinterland, how does this, translate to having power in the rural areas? Because that is where I'm looking. I'm not looking at the cities.
Okay.
Because without power, with power, a lot, can be done. A lot can be achieved.
All right.
If you go to areas where you see people who have one handiwork or the other, they can't function. Most of them have become Okada riders.
All right,
just because of lack of energy or electricity, as the case may. So
thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, it still goes back to what we're talking about, but let me allow you to finish your thoughts on the discourse, and then in many states where they provide power across different states.
Yeah, so like I said, there will be a need for a lot of collaboration and synergy. So, and again, as states begin to, we are going to look at this, technically and from the legal perspective. So, from technical point of view, there will have to be a lot of, interconnection and amongst the states, as they begin to develop their own distribution networks as well. So there will be a need for balancing technically, ensure that the system is properly balanced to avoid collapse as here and there. And then legally speaking as well is also important, because one of the challenges the discourse may begin to face is over-regulation again. So you're in this state and they tell you do this, and then just because your connection gets into another state, you're now required to comply with a lot of regulations across the state.
So those kind of states may need to sort of harmonize?
Yeah, harmonize. It's going to be a holistic thing across the power sector, both at the federal level and the state level, to ensure that this works seamlessly. If not, to just have a serious.
So going back to the question the caller had on rural areas, what we're sort of about to talk to before is, I'm just concerned, especially in the rural areas, we have not really explored, how the off-grid should work in different states, which the states could actually control before now. And so what kind of concern do you see, going forward, in the sense that maybe there will not be so much focus on the urban areas, and we are still living in the rural. Is that a concern you also see?
Yes, it is, because when I saw the amendment, one of my concerns is the state governments have always had the powers to make laws relating to generation, electricity distribution and transmission in areas not covered by the national. It's been there all along. The question, but most of the states haven't taken advantage of this. Right. So again, if they haven't, like our caller rightly alluded to, then what's the how are we sure how
if this is a blessing, or it's going to do us more harm
so
again?
Would they leave the off-grid and then focus on the off-grid areas, and then focus on the areas that are covered by the national grid? So I think that the state government, yes, we know we have this, they can focus on that, but I think the key thing is to electrify the areas that do not have power at all.
And so a lot of them.
Lots of the Lagos alone, from statistics we read, 31%, only 31% of Lagos homes, or Lagosians rather, are connected to the grid. So we have over 69% off grid entirely, and that's a huge market out there. So I would say, while we have this is good, but then I think that's really not the main thing. We need to focus on areas that do not have access to electricity.
So you talked about NEC earlier, the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC. I see a lot of work for them, but let me take this call quickly before we move to that. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Morning, though. How is everything?
Very well. Talk to me.
There's something I don't understand of the law you just said now.
Okay.
You said areas not covered by national grid that states can generate power and distribute.
No, areas covered by the grid. Before, they could handle the ones not covered by the grid. But now, with the amendment, they can actually, legislate in the areas covered by the grid.
Hello? I can't hear you very well again. Let me come back again.
All right. So I was saying NEC, there seems to be a lot of work for NEC. From your own standpoint, what are the immediate tasks for NEC, looking at this amendment now, because it's going to be gazetted very soon. It means it's going to be published as soon. So what are the immediate work for NEC that you see from your standpoint?
Again, I feel NEC is like the body that regulates over Nigeria, over the electricity sector here in Nigeria. So I would expect that NEC will begin to work with the state governments, to collaborate with the state governments in order to ensure that they, in exercising their power to make laws, they do it in such a way that does not defeat the ultimate objective, which is improving electricity access in Nigeria, attracting investment as much as possible. So, like in some countries, of course, they have this system where there's a federal regulator, there's a state regulator, but then the roles are somewhat clear cut. So we have the federal regulator sometimes pulling back in certain areas to let the state have a free.
Let's take this caller before we round up now. Hello, good morning. Talk to me. Hello, can you hear me? Talk to me. Power Solutions. Okay, we can hear you. You may need to call back again. All right. So just to round up the conversation, because we are really out of time, there's always no time to hit on every point.
Yes.
That's the problem. I mean, well, anyways, now some states are already sort of planning ahead. Like Lagos, there's a policy around electricity going. Some other states, they may start thinking about it. If they are just thinking about it, what would be your advice? Where should they really focus on?
Okay, so a major concern, for some people I've spoken to, is most states do not have the funding capacity to execute projects. And I think the quickest win for every state is to get the laws and policies in place to attract investors. Because there's this popular saying, I think I heard someone say, and they said, just like electricity flows in area of less resistance, money and investment flows in area of less resistance.
All right, it's a good place to leave that.
Yes. So I think they need to do that.
They should. All right, Lagos, this is Power Solutions. My name is Wisdom Chapp-Jumbo, and we've been talking to Chinenye Ajayi, Power and Infrastructure Lead, Olaniwun, Ajayi LP. And we've been discussing decentralizing Nigeria power sector, just sort of deep diving into this recent amendment by the president to allow state generate and transmit electricity. Wow, there's not always enough time. The way I say, the clock is ticking really fast. Until next week, we come to you again. Power Solutions.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.